we like to call Mike the moneymaker, and he certainly is at Kentucky Downs, where he's once again the leading trainer. Joe Kristufek joined by Scott Shapiro to take a look at the Grade 2 Kentucky Turf Cup, $1 million purse. Scott, Mike Maker's won this race for the last 7 years. He's got 4 horses entered in this one.
That's right, Joe. He won it in 2015, 2016, 2017, and 2019. Arklow, who's the second choice on the morning line in here, won it in 2018 and 2020. Imperador kind of surprised him. It wasn't Maker, it wasn't Arklow last year, but remains to be seen. I know you love those Lobo runners. Imperador was made you very happy when he hit the wire first last year, but I think it's pretty likely, to me at least, that it'll be Maker and or Arklow, but I know that the morning line, and maybe you think otherwise, as Gouffo ships in as the 7-5 favorite off a very nice win at Saratoga in the Grade 1 Sword Dancer.
Yeah, so again, 1.5 at Kentucky Downs really plays like at least 1.5 miles. Stamina certainly is imperative. The rails are down. There is a chance that there will be some rain on Saturday, which could play to outside off the pace types. And no surprise, Scott, in this 1.5 race, there's not a lot of speed sign on, and all the logical contenders are way out the back closers.
Right. Gouffo, who added the blinkers back on last time out in that aforementioned Sword Dancer, will be coming from well out of it. I think Arklow, who's shown different types of tactics in different races, will probably be up closer to the pace than he was last time in his first start off the bench in the Bowling Green. I think number 5, Keystone Field, though, is likely to be on the lead, one of the Mike Maker trainees that you mentioned. Now, I think he's been better on dirt than he was on turf throughout the early part of his career, but he goes back to the turf here. Mike Maker certainly capable of springing upsets, and I do think Ricardo Santana Jr. could be loose on the lead here. Whether he's good enough, though, is a major question.
Yeah, Gouffo was a little bit disappointing earlier this year. I think going into the campaign, everybody thought he was the best U.S.-based turf horse, and putting the blinkers on last out may have made a difference for him in the Sword Dancer. He won. He's back on 2 weeks rest, Scott. This is not a move that you see from Christophe Clement very often. 3 for 18 over the last 5 years, 1 to 14 days. But it looks like he's trying to strike while the iron is hot. There's not a lot of these opportunities. The Breeders' Cup Turf is going to be a very tough race for him. This obviously a win and you're in. You get the $ Joel Rosario, who knows this horse well. I think he's a horse to beat. Arklow obviously right there. They may rename this race for him eventually, but he's 4 starts at Kentucky Downs, all in this race, 2 wins in 2 seconds. Anybody else in the race? I know you mentioned one of the makers that's going to be forwardly placed, Keystone Field. Anybody in the race that you're also considered using in some of these multi-race wagers?
Well, I'm going to pick Arklow on top. You mentioned the affinity for the surface. I think it was a good setup race, although a favorable race shape in the Bowling Green. But I think Rock Emperor, the Imperator, pretty solid runners after Gouffo. I think they would be the next kind of favorites in this race other than Arklow. So I did land on him at 7-2 on the line. And Keystone Field is my long shot. I don't know if he's good enough to win the race, but with the lack of speed, and we've seen Mike Maker do this before, take a horse that maybe wasn't as good on the turf gone long for other conditioners, even ones that are Hall of Fame ranks like Richard Mandela in this case, and turn them into stakes winners going long on the side. So I'm going to use Keystone Field underneath at that big 30-1 morning line price. Of course, respect Gouffo. I do think he's better over the Saratoga side than he is elsewhere, but maybe the addition of blinkers woke him up a little, had him a little bit more into the race last time, and was able to win pretty impressively in that Sword Dancer.
Yeah, it's tough to take the favorite in any race at Kentucky Downs. I think Goufo's the most likely winner. My long shot play, and I almost picked him on top, is Red Knight, coming off the win at Colonial last out, Scott, and over very similar potential conditions to what he may find on Saturday in 2020. The turf was very soft. He lost to Arklow, but had a nightmarish trip, and he was probably best that day, coming off of a win, kind of a confidence booster after some not so stellar efforts. I think Red Knight at 15-1. Not crazy about the rail post position, but I do like the price.
Well, Gerardo Corrales rides this turf course very well, 4 for 14 thus far to start this meet. A little bit concerned that the speed figures just have not been there in 2021 and the start of 2022 with his race at Colonial like they were in 2020 in the past, where he was rattling off triple-digit Brisnet speed ratings race after race. But you make good points. You should get a good price on one of the other maker runners.
All right, race number 10 at Kentucky Downs on Saturday. Opportunity at an all-graded stakes pick 3 here. It is the Grade 2 Kentucky Turf Cup, purse $1 million, 1.5 miles. A win and you're in for the Breeders' Cup, Longines Turf.